Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So car reviews are back, and for its return we've got a bit of a special one, and actually one of the meta cards this week for Daily Race A. This is the Volkswagen Scirocco R from 2010. An absolutely awesome car, and I definitely, in my opinion, prefer it to something like the Golf GTI or the Polo GTI, whichever one's in the game. They're definitely something about the way it looks that really appeals to me. If you want to buy one yourself, it's 51,500 from the Volkswagen dealer. It comes out just under 500 performance points, so really on that limit. It's got a nice turbo strap to it, 2 litre engine, nothing to kind of moan about. Front wheel drive, and it's probably, I'd say, the standout front wheel drive car in the game. It doesn't look like it's that quick. You'd really think kind of the Honda would be the better one to use, but this one always seems to perform well in pretty much any race, and even the Group 4 category version is definitely a awesome car to kind of go around in. So we're on to the lap here at the Nordschleife. Obviously it's nice to kind of see it return, and there's a few changes to this video, so I'm going to kind of explain more a bit later. But if you don't know how we do these videos, essentially we take the standard version with no mods, no tuning, that kind of out of the box feel, and basically give it a hot lap around the Nordschleife to kind of see how it performs. The reason I choose the Nordschleife is because it's such a kind of mixture of everything. You've got medium speed corners, slow speed corners, and obviously the fast straightaways, and that really all add up in a nice flow and kind of give the car a proper feel, and I can kind of judge it from there. So the Scirocco, how did it feel on its kind of hot lap, I guess? Well, it actually felt very good. Now, when it comes to front wheel drive cars, I'm always a bit kind of cautious of them. They kind of have this weird kind of way they handle, that you kind of have to adjust to. Obviously, they're completely different way that they drive, and when you kind of go from more racing cars to front wheel drive cars, that adjustment period usually takes a while. However, when I jumped in the Scirocco, I was just kind of impressed how easy it was to kind of throw it around, and really have fun with it, even in its standard form. Straightaways, it absolutely ate them up. It felt very, very quick, so it was kind of surprising feeling this kind of horsepower from a front wheel drive car. When it kind of came to the corners, brakes wise, kind of entering the corner was probably its weak point. Definitely could do with a bit of an improvement there. That's kind of really the only weak point. Through the corners, throwable. You could absolutely throw this through the corners, and not kind of worry about where you're going to end up. I felt like I could really get the maximum out of this car and really be on the edge the whole time without thinking I'm going to end up in a barrier at any time. So drivability wise, very good. Just the brakes that kind of let it down. Like I said, acceleration, speed, very good on the straights. Definitely kind of the performance you don't expect from a car. As I guess kind of modest looking. It's not really as flashy as something like the AMG Mercedes and such. Obviously it's a bit dated at this point. I mean, what is it, like 12 years old, this model? And I believe it has actually been discontinued, I believe a couple of years ago, which is kind of sad to see, because I actually think okay, it's not really the sportiest looking thing, but it definitely has a better kind of look to it than I'd say the Golf of the time or the Polo of the time. Definitely kind of appeals to me. It looks very sleek and such, even without all the insane aero that you see in a lot of hot hatches, especially these days. But for a 2010 car and the kind of look of it, it definitely looks a lot sportier, and kind of sleek looking. So looks wise, I think it absolutely looks superb, even without any mods on it. Definitely all looks kind of in proportion. Nothing looks really out of place, and I feel like the looks kind of make it deceiving as well, because you will jump in and you probably won't think it's just as quick as it actually is. But there's a reason this car seems to perform well whenever front wheel drive cars become the meta, and yeah, definitely no complaints in performance or looks. It's probably just the brakes that are really kind of the only thing that really lets it down. I feel like an improvement there will kind of make it the full package, even from standard. So let's get into sound design now. There's not really much to listen to really. It's one of them cars with a bit of a muted exhaust note. However, take a listen and let me know what you think. Personally for me, it's nothing too flashy, it's just kind of there. It's not the best sounding car when you're driving it or when you're looking at it in replays and such, but it kind of does the job. So I guess that could be another kind of weak point for it. But so far we've only got 2 weak points, and that is the brakes and the sound design. Well, that's obviously mainly up to the game designers, but definitely when it comes to its exhaust note, it's not the most pleasant or standout. Especially when I've been using cars like the Dodge Viper and such, which all have a very kind of unique exhaust note. This kind of feels just there. So lap wise from standard, it did feel very, very good. When it comes to real life, these cars were very popular. I still see a bunch of them to this day, very affordable. So if you really do like these cars or drive one in real life, it's definitely kind of cool to maybe just use them in game and just see maybe how your own car would feel, when it comes to Gran Turismo 7. So I always like kind of seeing these more, I guess, affordable road cars. I get, they're not the cheapest cars in the world. We've not all got a bunch of money. But when you see cars that are just more real world that you can kind of just go out and see, probably, it's definitely kind of awesome to kind of be able to use them in the game. I remember a lot of, when it comes to real world experience, I've seen a lot of these in kind of race trim in more national events, so like Volkswagen Cups and such. They were very, very popular there, always performing quite well. So I mean, even to this day, you will probably see at least one at a national event when it comes to like more touring car events, or those like I said, national level events. You will probably at least see one. So it's kind of awesome to have these kind of cars featured in the game. I feel like this will probably be a car that will kind of fade away over the next couple of years. We're obviously being discontinued and such, and not getting a new model and kind of keeping its same design throughout its life. I feel like we won't see this car as often as we probably did in the, probably late 2000s to kind of through the 2010s. I feel like, obviously we're in 2022 now, and unless you're playing a game with a big car list, this car will probably just kind of fade away, and a lot of people will probably actually forget it. But I feel like when it comes to Gran Turismo, it's actually got a bit of a cult following. Now, if you remember the group, I believe it's the Group 4 version, has always been popular since GT Sport, and it still is in a lot of the Group 4 events. It's very, usable, it's very drivable, it's very quick. There's always been a bunch of events where it kind of stands out as one of the faster cars. And now currently, I did mention that this week's Daily Race A is a more tuning orientated event for kind of front wheel drive cars, and it's definitely the standout performer there as well. So I feel like when it comes to Gran Turismo players, they're always going to have good memories of both the kind of the normal version and obviously the Group 4 race version. I will eventually do a review on that, but I kind of thought I'd, with this being one of the meta cars, give my opinion on it and whether you should kind of jump in. Like I said, we won't just be testing the stock version, we don't just do that now, but it would be kind of cool to see where this standard version comes out in comparison to some of the other cars that it will be basically competing against for fastest lap time. Now, like I said, when it came to the lap, there was probably a few mistakes on my part where I've kind of just ran it too deep, but very throwable and definitely enjoyable to drive. But I feel like maybe those couple of mistakes has kind of cost it, but we'll find out both together where this car really comes in. It'll be the 500 pp bracket. Obviously it can't really compete for overall on our lap time leaderboard, but that's the lap done. Very enjoyable, very on edge throughout, and we'll do a little takeoff, little launch to see ourselves away from the stock version, and then we'll kind of look into the onboard and have a look at the times. So onboard wise, I think it's a great place to be. It's very kind of Volkswagen-esque. It looks modern. even, you know, what, 12 years later, it still kind of holds up. Definitely a nice little place to be, if not maybe a little bit, you know, more, I guess, how would I say it? Probably a bit more on the dull side. You know, there's not this insane kind of look or feel like you'd see in something like a Ferrari or a Pagani or something on the interior. However, I think for, you know, the price point and, you know, the kind of car this is meant to be, it still holds up to this day. I absolutely love the little bit, you know, bottom part of the steering wheel, by the way. I don't know if you'll see that too well, but onboard wise, definitely, you know, holds up. So here are your individual sector times. Overall, we did at 8 minutes 22.090. Obviously, like I said, this falls into the 500 pp bracket, which we've actually done a bunch of cars there recently. So it'll be kind of cool to see where it comes out. And yeah, definitely probably one of the more enjoyable of the 500 pp category, probably alongside the Mitsubishi Evo, which we covered a few weeks back. And it has come in second, so just off the pace by about half a second. So I really do feel like those mistakes that I made have probably cost it. I do feel like it had the pace to be above the Lancer Evo 4, which is what, about 14 years older. So obviously one's four-wheel drive, one's front-wheel drive. So kind of props to the Scirocco for that, really, for being a, you know, a front-wheel drive car and performing well. So here's our little addition. Say hello to this. This is our modified version, which we obviously do. However, alongside it, we are now going to do a modified lap time leaderboard, which means I will actually re-review some of the cars that can be modified. Race cars are kind of, you know, not a part of this, although you can upgrade them. This is purely for like really, you know, modified road cars. So I will actually be going back and, you know, allowing stuff like the Dodge Viper and Dodge Challenger to have a go on this leaderboard. So I absolutely love this livery, by the way. So at first I just took it into a basic race just to kind of get a feel for it, and straight away it felt absolutely awesome. Every kind of issue I had with the brakes, stuff like that, was all gone, and it felt very, very planted. Now it felt definitely probably quicker than the Group 4 version. Obviously it is putting out more horsepower than that, but it kind of felt like the ultimate, you know, Scirocco R. Definitely no slouch. I think it looks the part. I feel like the custom parts again aren't really as in your face, but it really gives it a nice, you know, beefy look. Definitely, you know, when it comes to the looks department, it doesn't look out of place. All the aero kind of looks like it could actually be there from factory, and kind of gave it this sort of race car for the road kind of look and feel. So yeah, definitely kind of solved every issue I had with the car, and it definitely sounded much better. So let's get on to our first official modified car lap time. We are going to be doing these at the high speed ring. I feel like this is the perfect track to kind of showcase those, you know, modified kind of builds. You know, plenty of big straights, some really fast corners, and although it's kind of, you know, simplistic, it's still challenging to really get the perfect braking points and the perfect, you know, cornering and such. But I feel like this car was absolutely made for it. It flew around. Definitely, you know, there was no point where I felt like, you know, this is just really, really slow, or this car doesn't feel suited. I didn't make too many kind of changes to the way it handled. I basically managed to lower it a little bit and kind of made it, you know, a lot better through these, you know, couple of sweeping sections, and definitely the brakes working like they should. So, you know, like I said, a massive improvement in terms of that, and just the way it looks now is just, to me, absolutely awesome. So yeah, definitely a whole heap of fun, and it's kind of cool to be able to do not just our standard lap time leaderboard, but also our modified leaderboard, to see just how much of a jump in performance these cars will get, and just to kind of see just the potential in some of these more, I guess, overlooked cars. So our first modified lap time is the Volkswagen Scirocco R, and it has come in at a 1 minute 10.847. So a very good lap time. Like I said, felt perfect throughout, and it's kind of cool to be able to, like I said, do this, you know, both leaderboards and kind of have them run simultaneously. Obviously race cars aren't eligible for this one, because you can't exactly modify them like you would a road car. So with this being the meta this week and being a very, strong car in general, would I recommend you, kind of going and buying it? Or if you've already got one in the garage, should you go and use it? I'd definitely say yeah. I feel like you shouldn't really sleep on this car. It's very, very good to, like I said, tune. And when it comes to, even entering, the, I guess, weaker or lower performance point events in the game, even from standard, it performs very, very well. So definitely don't sleep on this one. Ensure you get yours for Daily Race A. Just go out there, have some fun with it, as I would 100% recommend this car to anyone. So that is going to be today's video. I'm glad to be doing car reviews again, I guess. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers guys, peace.